here we are. Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Cameron, and I've got Sandy Riling with me here. And we love this self esteem group so much because it's such an important topic that we struggled with for quite a while and got some answers, got different answers, right, Sandy? But
Mhm.
made it to the end goal with really loving ourselves, who we are here and now. And we'd like to share some things about the topic of forgiveness because I think, and I know Sandy does too, this is a huge piece of the puzzle, if you will. And how you always hear, you just got to forgive that person and everything's going to be just fine. And then I'd be going, well, how do you do that? 'Cause that sounds impossible. But
Mhm.
Sandy, you've got a tool you use with clients, and I'm sure you've got lots of thoughts about it if you'd like to let us know what you think.
Well, forgiveness, whether it's self-forgiveness or forgiving someone else, is such a powerful thing in your life.
Mm.
It can be freeing, it can be confusing at times, but one thing it does is it demonstrates growth and maturity. And you have to understand it's not always easy, depending on what you're trying to forgive. My experience with forgiveness was that I didn't like myself much. I would make mistakes and I would guilt myself tremendously for it. And self forgiving seems to be a little bit harder than forgiving someone else.
What's that about?
I don't know. I think we're harder. We're our
Mm.
own worst nightmare sometimes. It's like we just can't come to an agreement with ourselves, and that's a big thing. And we can all get there. I know you and I've got there. So,
Yeah.
but the biggest thing is you can't worry about the past. It happened, whatever happened in the past, you can't dwell on it. Forgive yourself for any mistakes you may have made in the past. And you can't let it define the rest of your life, because if you can't let it go, you will never have self acceptance. You will never have self love. And you will just kind of meander through life and stuck in a place where I call the pit of unhappiness,
Mm.
because you just can't move forward. And the biggest thing is we all make mistakes. We're all human.
That's for sure.
I've made my share, trust me.
Hmm.
And we've done things that we regret, whether they're to ourselves or whether they're to someone else. And I think you have to look at forgiveness as an act of freedom and an act of self love. Because if you can't forgive yourself for some of the things that you've done, then nobody else will. You are, and you alone are responsible for your life, not anybody else, not, the gremlin, AKA your gremlin. You know, you control your destiny. So, what I do with my clients is we recall an event, something that they maybe regretted doing or regretted saying to themselves. We identify it, we talk about it, why it made them feel that way, and we get to the point where they agree to let go, forgive themselves. And that's when I bring out the self forgiveness contract.
Oh.
And basically, the contract is exactly what it sounds like, but it's a contract between you and yourself. That's it. It says, I, Sandra Bauer, declare that on the fourth day of June in the year 2020, I forgive myself for what I have done or left undone. By this, I mean that I accept responsibility for my actions without blaming others for my decisions or blaming myself for the things that I cannot control. However, I will not punish myself To atone for my actions, instead, I pledge to treat myself like someone who is imperfect, but also who is valuable and able to learn from the mistakes in life. Although I cannot change the past, I will try to make choices today with respect for myself and for others. I thus declare myself forgiven.
Wow.
It's a powerful statement.
Sure is.
Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to be like, never have guilt or never have shame. You're going to make mistakes. Again, we are human. And that every time I read that statement, it always gives me a little chill.
I bet.
Because when somebody can come to that conclusion and they get this and they keep it somewhere where they can see it, that just, that it's freeing. You just have to experience. You just have to experience it.
You're writing it down. You're visually looking at it. You're probably ready to forgive at this point because it's been so painful for so long, perhaps. Wow, that's very cool. I found that maybe it depends on how badly you've been hurt, perhaps, because my mother, I didn't know how injured she was by World War II trauma. And so all I saw was her coldness, really, not being able to hold me. I don't have one memory of my mother holding me. And, not hugging me. Usually it was criticism. So it took a while to forgive her, and some family trauma just made it, explosively harder to try to forgive her. I personally had to go to the soul level because at the human level, I couldn't get beyond how much she had done to me. And if you don't get love, I got it from my dad, but I didn't get it from my mom. If you don't get love, you kind of get messed up. The wiring gets messed up and you believe you're not worth it, whatever it is. So I had to see how damaged she was. And then I started to believe in eternal energy, like Qigong or God energy or just quantum physics energy. It goes on and on. And if you go to that place, if you choose to go to that place or can go to that place, then we go in and out of bodies. And I got to see that, talk about a contract. At the soul level, I believe that I made a contract with my mom to go to this depths of pain and unworthiness to the place of actually seeing her like a co-actor in my play. That I probably had, as both of us being this eternal soul energy, loving energy that I believe is our original source, that I had to pay her tons of money or whatever the currency is as a soul to do this to me in a human life. And that helped me see that it was a contract I had with her to take me to the place where I am now that I perhaps would not have gotten to if I hadn't had her as a mother this lifetime. So maybe that's not for everybody to go there or think about that. But then I was able to see that I had some responsibility in this life play, and I could let her off the hook at that point. And then it made it easier for me the mistakes I've made with other people, I just would cringe at the past mistakes I'd made. And yet, again, I think part of the purpose of being in this life is to learn these soul lessons. Because, man, I'm never making those mistakes again. I don't care how long my energy goes on or my lifetime go on, because they were so painful and so acute and so clear that I will never treat anybody else like that again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to look at it.
I kind of had the same type of situation with my dad.
Mm.
I was angry most of my life with the way he had maybe demeaned me or treated me. But on his deathbed,
Oh boy.
I I walked into the room and he said, "Can you forgive me?" And I sat there and I had not completely healed, but I sat there and something washed over me and said, maybe he didn't know any better.
Mm.
Maybe he didn't understand himself. I'd never ask him. I'd never ask him one question as to why he did. I just assumed that was just he was mean or whatever. And something told me, whether it was something in the universe or whatever, something told me maybe he just didn't know any better.
Wow.
So I said, I forgive you, Dad.
Oh my gosh.
And he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And that told me that, or taught me that I was just as responsible for my life, or more so than he was, you know. And as I grew and got older and healed, I realized that it was my responsibility to become who I was, not him. He had some aspect of it. Yeah, we allow people to treat us a certain way. That's going to affect how we live. But it was my decision, and it should have been my decision to separate from the toxic person, to separate from someone that I felt wasn't serving me any longer. But I'm glad I got to apologize, or not
Wow.
apologize, forgive him. I'm glad I got to
Yeah.
forgive him.
Wow.
And that just kind of where that contract came from, because I knew that we all need to own our own life.
That's
You
the
know.
bottom line.
Yep.
Yep. And these painful experiences um, can be so extremely transformative in our path to just giving ourselves a break. You know, these painful things happen, and it's what we do with them. What you and I have done with them is decided enough. You know, that is not the truth. We
Mm-hmm.
are. Those doggies are barking at the mail guy,
The Amazon guy just drove by.
the Amazon guy. They're protecting you.
Yep.
Yeah, just that it's like this alchemical transformation that energy work does, or source energy can do, when we remember who we really are, you know, that it
Mm-hmm.
can take that pain and uh, let it go, remember who we are, and then come from that place of building the faith or the belief that we have this extraordinary love energy to mold the rest of our lives, you know, because so many
Mm-hmm.
people don't figure it out on their deathbed, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I was determined, given the mom I had, that wasn't going to happen to me. I was going to figure some things out and realize I was a really good person, cared a lot about a lot of things, especially dogs, and uh, just things just started blossoming from there. You know, so I'd really encourage everybody to take a look at Sandy's contract, or you know, give us your thoughts about this conversation, because that's what we're here in this group for, you know, to share our wisdom and absolutely encourage each other to be the best that we actually already are, you know, at a deep level. We just maybe didn't get to see it because people shoved it down and we believed them, but it ain't true.
You know, I think there's a lot of things that most of us kind of lock away in a little box in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the key always finds its way back to us. The key is always there.
Nice.
And you can choose not to unlock it, but the more or the longer you wait, the bigger the box gets. And at some point, the box becomes too heavy. And you have to say, enough's enough. It's time to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what forgiveness is about. Forgiveness is about letting go of things that no longer serve you. So what? You made a mistake. So
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is it going to matter in 5 years? Probably not.
Right.
Is it, it's just very important that people become okay with themselves and love themselves.
Yeah. I think also, oh, pardon me, go ahead.
No, I was done. Go ahead.
What stopped me from forgiving my mother in the beginning, and the beginning was several year time frame, was the thought that meant that what she did was okay. And that's not it at all. It is not okay what people have done to us.
Mm-hmm.
The forgiveness process helps us, number one. And since we're all connected by energy, I've had people I've forgiven just in my heart, not physically, not with a conversation where they said, I'm sorry. A lot of times that never happened, but it was an internal forgiveness on my part, knowing that bigger picture that sometimes people would reconnect and by an email or something, and I'd be able to just let them go at that point, for their benefit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about having the pain be okay or what they did be okay at all. And I just encourage everybody to have a deep thought about this whole process. Yeah, Sandy?
I do too.
Mm.
Have a conversation with yourself. If you're ready, you'll know it. If you're not, there's still work to do.
Well, the box will get bigger, and I think that's a natural process. It just gets bigger until it really gets our attention and says, hey, you've got healing. Opening this box, there's healing and health and moving forward with lightness and caring for yourself. All the good stuff's on the opening of the box.
Exactly.
It may not feel great to open the box, but you can get through it relatively quickly once you decide to open the box, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. Well, anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's enough for today.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. I always appreciate the conversation that we have.
Me too.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us, and I hope you watch the replay. And anything else you want to talk about, let us know, yeah?
All righty. Bye, guys.
Andy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.